sustainment costs of the aircraft. I think you were just explaining, if I understood correctly, to the gentleman over there that it's hard to do an apples-to-apples comparison of JSF sustainment cost and legacy. But I had thought that Lockheed Martin had a bumper sticker sort of slogan earlier that it was going to be something like 50% cheaper to maintain. So how do you measure against legacy if that's your goal?
The drill that's done every year is they do a bottoms-up estimate of all the sustainment costs, okay? And then they look at what would it take to sustain the F-35 in the current infrastructure. In other words, the U.S. government does most of the maintenance for U.S. airplanes today. And then they look at what would it cost to maintain the airplane in a performance-based logistics environment with the contractor team, in essence, taking responsibility for partnering with the government agencies and global availability of the airplane. And what we're seeing is that this airplane in a legacy environment is about 15% roughly less than legacy to maintain. And if we can go to a performance-based logistics environment, there's another potential 15% reduction that could occur. So we've always used the number, we're about 20 to 25% under legacy relative to an apples-to-apples comparison of sustainment costs. And I think we're still on track to do that. Now, we are going through a series of what's called war sustainment war games. The first one was held just last week. There'll be 3 held over the next 6 or 7 months. They'll involve industry and international governments, and they'll try to put as much definition around the sustainment environment as they can. Remember, there's still a lot of decisions that are yet to be made as to where our training center is going to be, where our maintenance and repair center is going to be, how much does a country want to have that's only their own, and that adds to the overall cost. So there's a lot of those decisions haven't been made yet. So when we start talking about how much does it cost to sustain the airplane, there's a set of assumptions that go into that estimate. Those assumptions could be right or wrong, depending on decisions individual nations make. We're assuming the baseline program for this airplane is a performance-based logistics, globally sustained, contractor-led, government partner program. And that drives you to the best overall economic solution for the cost of owning the airplane in the long term. It will assure availability of whatever availability that different customers want to have assumed on their flight line every day.
Okay, and I just wanted to ask you as well, given the fact that Admiral Vinlett didn't come to the show and no one came from the JPO, what kind of signal is that sending to the partners at a time when Lockheed's message really is we have to keep the partnership together to keep the program on track to maintain the price?
Admiral Vinlett was with me in Canada on Friday for the announcement in Canada, so that's his first visit outside the JPO. You have to respect the fact that he just took over a month ago, and the program is going through a recertification and a new technical baseline. And he's got a huge workload right now to get his new team in place while we're doing that. And it is pretty much a new team at the Joint Program Office today. He's brought a bunch of very good people in with him to manage the program from here on out. So when he said that he's home tending his knitting, he is home tending his knitting. They are putting the new structure in place of how they want to run this program. They're in the middle of conducting the new technical baseline review. So I think that was all there was to it. And if you read anything else into it, I think you read your conjecture that there really was nothing else to it. I think you'll see him now become more engaged with each partner country and more engaged in the international shows as he gets over this initial hump of work he has.
John Reed, Defense News. Can you give us an update on the test points versus test flights you've been today?
Okay. We track 2 metrics. We actually track a whole lot more now, but the 2 high-vis metrics that everybody tracks us to, including all the congressional committees, is how many flights have you done, how many test points have you done, because they're both important. You can fly and not be generating valid test points, or you can go out and get a whole bunch in one flight. You know, I think the most productive one I heard Graham tell me, I think you get something like 40 in one flight, right? So you can accumulate a lot. That was with some hot pit refueling and multiple sorties on the same flight. You can also go out and be doing a specific test like ISR engine testing, which we're doing right now, and be getting test points for the engine guys and not getting test points for the airplane. So it's a complicated thing to look at. But we have specific numbers. Right now it's 394 flights, and it's some number of thousands of test points that need to be done by the end of this calendar year. We're tracking about 10% ahead of both categories right now. Now, the flights are not coming in exactly the way we envisioned they would be coming, because that's the nature of flight tests. We are flying the CTOL and CV airplanes at a higher pace than we thought we would, and we're flying the STOVL airplanes at a slower pace than we thought we would initially. We expect that to now start evening itself out as we go through the next few weeks.
Any questions on this side?
But in terms of the aggregate metric, we're running ahead of both.
Do you have any hard numbers on test points so
I
far?
do, but I don't have
Yeah,
the top of my
we
head.
can get those for you. I can get those straight.
It's